Judge Gorsuch, the podium, sir, is yours.
Now, this nominee comes from a president who not only does not appear to understand that the judiciary is a separate branch of government, but does not respect that independence. So when President Trump called the judge who disagreed with his executive order on immigration the so-called judge, no, that is not a so-called judge. That is a judge. We don't call the president the so-called president.
And I don't ever want to call a court biased, so I won't call it biased. And we haven't had a decision yet. But courts seem to be so political, and it would be so great for our justice system if they would be able to read a statement and do what's right. And I'm very proud to have picked Judge Gorsuch, who I think is going to be an outstanding member of the Supreme Court. Outstanding.
On the comments from Judge Gorsuch that have been reported out, I just have a two-parter for you. Does the president still stand by his nomination?
Absolutely.
Given where Gorsuch stands,
that was number one.
No, this is like a two-part. First, given where, given Judge Gorsuch's position on the president's attitude toward the judiciary, and given that the president has praised Neil Gorsuch for his intellect and for his integrity, does the president have any regrets about the comments that he's made about federal judges?
I think the president's comments speak for them. No, he has no regrets, but he's very proud of the selection he's made, and he's going to make a great Associate Justice of the Supreme Court.
About the comments that he said, for example, about Judge
I understand that, and yes, he has no regrets.
In that lunch meeting, the president said that, he basically said Senator Blumenthal's comments were taken out of context, and that
Judge Gorsuch's comments,
right,
yeah.
and that his relaying of Judge Gorsuch's comments were taken out of context. However,
Right.
Senator Ayotte, who is working with the White House to help shepherd Judge Gorsuch through the Hill, released a statement confirming those same remarks, disheartening and demoralizing.
Right. So here's what Senator.
Was the president aware of that? Because
Yeah,
she was in that meeting.
No, of course he's aware. This is what Senator Ayotte said. Judge Gorsuch had made it very clear in all of his discussions with senators, including Senator Blumenthal, that he could not comment on specific cases, and that judicial ethics prevent him from commenting on political matters. He has also emphasized the importance of an independent judiciary, and while he made clear that he was not referencing any specific case, he said that he finds any criticism of a judge's integrity and independence disheartening and demoralizing. So there's a big difference between commenting on the specific comments that have been made in the tweets and his general philosophy about the judiciary and his respect for his fellow judges. And I think the senator's comments were very clear about how those are two distinct issues.
Right, and the judge's comments, as relayed through others, were also in that context of the president's attacks on the judiciary, which is what the senators you just read out was also talking about there.
Okay, so
was the president aware of that? Because Senator Ayotte was sitting right across from him when he said that those comments weren't accurately reported or conveyed.
The way that Senator Blumenthal characterized them, he was talking about the tweets and saying that he was disheartened. That's not what the judge said. He was making two very complete, distinct arguments about how he views the comments, that he should not be commenting on a political matter or on specific things. But as a whole, he doesn't like attacks in general on the judiciary. It was a very distinct argument that he was making. And I think that's where I think we've got to be clear, and that's what Senator Ayotte was saying this morning. Very, very different. Cecilia.
Does he take that on board? I mean,
Is he what?
Is he taking that on board? I mean, you just said he doesn't regret his past attacks on the judiciary.
Right.
But now you have these confirmed remarks, which you were saying were exactly what the judge was talking about.
No.
And that's not changing the president's
again, I think it's important to understand that the judge was very clear that he was not commenting on any specific matter, right? And then he was asked about his general philosophy. So you can't then take that, equate it back to the specific. He literally went out of his way to say, I'm not commenting on a specific instance. So to take what he said about a generalization and apply it to a specific is exactly what he was intending not to do.
But in other words, the president will continue to speak like this.
Of course he will. The president's going to speak his mind. It goes back to Thomas Jefferson, that presidents have commented on judicial nominees. I mean, the idea of one branch talking about or commenting on another branch is as old as our republic. So I don't know why. And I find it interesting when President Obama criticized the Supreme Court for its Citizens United comments in the State of the Union, there wasn't a similar concern about that. And there's the idea that this is a
so-called judge portion.
I get it. I mean,
personal
look, but
attack.
at some point, it seems like there is clearly a double standard when it's how this is applied. When President Obama did it, there was no concern from this briefing room. When he does it, it's a ton of outrage. So I just, with all due respect, I think the president's made very clear that he was concerned about how that executive order in particular, which is what we're talking about, was applied. And I think we've addressed it from this briefing room over and over and over again, that the U.S. Code gives the president very clear authority to make this happen. Cecilia.
But I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that demoralizing and disheartening was not specifically about the president's comments and what he said? And if so, how does the president know that? Has he spoken to the
No,
judge?
I think the judge literally made it very clear in his comments.
Senators have come out and said that they corroborate
I understand
this
that.
statement.
Senator Ayotte, who was there, made it very clear that he was commenting in general about attacks on the judiciary. That was it, plain and simple.
Three other senators
I
said
understand
they
that, Cecilia. I can tell you with Senator Ayotte, who has been with him on every single thing, was very clear about that. There's no, so I understand that, and that is, she has made it very clear over and over again. Yeah.
Sean, your
Stealing
me
the
or-
question.
yeah, Sean, your answer about the context
Yeah.
doesn't make sense when you think about what Senator Ben Sass said today and this morning on TV. He said that he asked Judge Gorsuch specifically about the president's so-called judge tweet, and in response,
Phil, this is like the fourth
judge-
time I've asked an answer.
No, but
Blake.
this is a different context, Sean.
I understand that, Phil. I've
It's
asked
directly about the
I
president.
understand that, and I've said exactly what Senator Ayotte said about it. I don't know how many times you can ask. Yeah,
It was only about
I understand.
Blumenthal.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sean, I'm going to continue on this line despite what's happening there. Why isn't the White House, why isn't the president concerned about the influence or the appearance of the influence on the independent judiciary?
Why isn't he? He is free to speak his mind. Where has this outrage been for the last 100 years? There has
Not
been.
the Obama administration or any previous administration. I'm talking about this president.
I understand, and the
this
president
White
has.
House.
The part of the reason the president got elected is because he speaks his mind. He doesn't hold it back. He's authentic, and he's not going to sit back. I think when he feels very passionately about something as much as the executive order, he was doing it to make sure Americans were safe. The order, the U.S. Code, is crystal clear on this. I think I've read it for like 3 days in a row. And it can't be any clearer how much authority it gives the president to do what he can to keep it safe. He's concerned that he's doing what he can to keep this country safe, and there's been a lot of activity to stand in the way. So I'm not sure how many more times I can read the code to you, but 8 U.S. Code 1182.
Me talking about it is not how the judicial process works.
Thank you. You've asked the question now 8 times.